Let me show you something that looks responsible, but might quietly be keeping you stuck. Imagine you finally get serious about money. You stop buying random stuff. You cancel subscriptions you barely use. You start cooking at home. And every payday, you move some money into savings. $100. Then another $200. Maybe sometimes $300. You open your banking app. The number is going up. $3,000. $5,000. Then eventually $10,000. And for a moment, you feel proud. You should. Because most people don't even get that far. But then you look at the interest. And something feels wrong. Your $10,000 might be earning around 0.5%. So after an entire year, you made roughly $50. $50. That's when a strange question starts appearing in your head. Wait, if I'm doing everything right, why doesn't my money seem to be going anywhere? Then you hear people talking about investing. Stocks. Index funds. Compound growth. Building wealth. Making your money work for you. And suddenly you're sitting there thinking, am I missing something? Maybe you've had that exact moment. I know a lot of people have. And here's the part nobody explains clearly enough. Saving isn't the problem. Stopping at saving is the problem. Because saving and investing are not the same thing. They have different jobs. Saving protects your money. Investing gives your money a chance to grow. And if you understand that difference, the entire money game starts looking different. So today, I'm going to walk you through the bridge. Not some complicated Wall Street strategy. Not a buy this stock before Friday trick. And definitely not a plan that requires you to become a financial genius overnight. Just a simple path. From saving to investing. Without feeling like you're throwing your financial safety out the window. And by the end, you'll understand something that can completely change the way you look at your savings. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Saving money alone probably won't make you wealthy. I know. That sounds almost wrong. We've been told our entire lives, save your money. Be responsible. Put money away. And yes, do all of those things. But saving is the foundation. It's not the entire house. Think about it this way. Your savings account is a parking space. It's supposed to keep your money safe. But you don't park your car because you want to travel across the country. You park it because you don't want it stolen. The car has another job. It needs to move. Your money can work the same way. Some of it needs to sit safely. Some of it needs a chance to grow. And that's the first big shift. Stop asking, should I save or invest? Start asking, how much should stay safe and how much can start working? That question is much more useful. Let's make the numbers painfully simple. Imagine you have $10,000. You leave it in an account earning 1% per year. After 1 year, about $10,100. Great. Your money grew. But not exactly enough to make you call your friends and celebrate. Now imagine, purely as a mathematical illustration, that the same $10,000 compounds at 10% annually over a long period. After 1 year, about $11,000. That's already a $900 difference. But 1 year isn't the interesting part. The interesting part is what happens when you stop looking at years and start looking at decades. After 20 years, $10,000 growing at 1% becomes roughly $12,200. At 10%, it becomes roughly $67,000. Same $10,000. Same starting point. Completely different ending. And that's where compound growth becomes almost unfair. Because in the beginning it looks boring. Your account doesn't explode. Nothing dramatic happens. You don't wake up one morning looking like Warren Buffett. But slowly your returns can begin generating returns of their own. Your money starts producing more money. And then that new money starts working too. It's like a snowball. At the top of the hill, it looks tiny. You could kick it. 20 years later, you probably shouldn't stand in front of it. That's the power of time. But now comes the really interesting question. If investing can make such a huge difference, why do so many people never start? It's not usually because they can't understand the math. It's because they understand the emotion. Saving feels calm. Investing feels alive. And sometimes a little too alive. You check your savings account. $10,000. Tomorrow? Still around $10,000. Comforting. You check an investment account. Monday, up $180. Tuesday, down $240. Wednesday, down another $100. And suddenly your brain is saying, maybe we made a terrible mistake. This is where many beginners make their biggest mistake. They invest with a long-term plan, then react with a short-term brain. They say, I'll invest for 20 years. Then the market falls for 20 minutes. And they're ready to sell everything. That's not a math problem. That's a behavior problem. And this is why your transition from saving to investing needs to be gradual. You don't jump. You build a bridge. Let's walk across it. Step 1. Build your emergency fund first. Before you start putting serious money into investments, create a cash cushion for real life. A common target is around 3 to 6 months of essential living expenses, not your entire lifestyle. Your essential expenses: housing, food, utilities, transportation, basic bills. Because life doesn't check your portfolio before causing problems. Your car doesn't care if the market is up. Your job doesn't care if your index fund is down. Your washing machine certainly doesn't care about your asset allocation. Something breaks, something happens. And suddenly you need $1,500. If you don't have cash available, what happens? You might be forced to sell an investment at exactly the wrong moment. That's why an emergency fund isn't just savings. It's protection for your investment plan. Think of it like an airbag. You don't put an airbag in your car because you expect to crash. You put it there because you know life doesn't always ask permission. And when something unexpected happens, you'll be glad you have it. This is the first layer. Safety. Then we move. Step 2. Separate your money mentally. This sounds small. It isn't. Think about 2 buckets. Bucket 1. Safety money. Bucket 2. Growth money. Safety money has one job. Be available when life gets messy. Growth money has a different job. Stay invested and pursue long-term growth. Once you make that distinction, something changes psychologically. You stop expecting your investment account to behave like your checking account. And that's huge. Because investments are allowed to move. They're allowed to fall. They're allowed to have ugly months. Even ugly years. Your emergency fund doesn't need to do that. It needs to be there. That's it. Your investment account has permission to be uncomfortable. Why? Because you're giving it time. And this is where a lot of financial anxiety disappears. You don't need every dollar to be perfectly safe. You need the right dollars to be safe. And the right dollars to have room to grow. Now step 3. Start ridiculously small. Seriously. Forget the idea that you need $10,000 before you're allowed to call yourself an investor. You don't. You might start with $50. Maybe $100. Maybe whatever amount your budget can comfortably handle. The first goal isn't becoming rich. The first goal is becoming consistent. That's a completely different target. Because once investing becomes normal, increasing the amount becomes much easier. Maybe you start with $50. Then your income increases. You move to $100 later, $200. Eventually, maybe $500. The number can change. The habit stays. You're building. Not a giant portfolio overnight. A system. Because nobody knows exactly what the market will do next Tuesday. Nobody. If someone online tells you they know exactly what's going to happen, please remember that confidence is not the same thing as accuracy. You don't need perfect timing. You need enough time. That's a much better game. Now step 4. Keep the investment simple. This is where beginners often get distracted. You search, what should I invest in? And 5 minutes later, you've watched 3 videos about day trading, 4 videos about crypto, 2 videos about options. And somehow you're looking at a man standing next to a rented Lamborghini explaining how he made $40,000 before breakfast. Please breathe. You don't need that. Complex doesn't automatically mean smart. Sometimes simple wins precisely because it's simple enough to stick with. One common long-term approach is using low-cost, diversified index funds. An index fund can give you exposure to a broad collection of companies instead of forcing you to guess which individual company will win. You're not trying to find the magical stock. You're spreading your exposure. You accept that some companies will struggle. Some will disappear. Others will grow. And instead of betting everything on one winner, you own a broad basket. That's diversification. It's not exciting. And that's actually one of the reasons I like the idea for beginners. Because investing doesn't need to be exciting. Your entertainment can be exciting. Your investments can be boring. Honestly, boring is underrated. Even Warren Buffett has repeatedly recommended low-cost index funds as a sensible choice for many investors. But here's an important detail. An index fund is not a magic shield. It can fall. It will fluctuate. There will be years when the market makes you feel brilliant. And years when you question every decision you've ever made. That's normal. The goal isn't avoiding every drop. The goal is building a strategy you can continue through them. And that brings us to step 5. Invest consistently. This is probably the least glamorous strategy in finance, which is exactly why people ignore it. Let's say you invest $300 every month. That's it. No giant deposit. No dramatic trading. Just $300. If the investment averaged around 8% annually over 25 years, you'd have roughly $285,000. You contributed $90,000. The remaining roughly $195,000 would come from growth. Read that again. You didn't personally put in $195,000. Your money had time to do some of the work. That's the part beginners often underestimate. They think wealth is built by finding huge amounts of money. Sometimes it's built by giving ordinary amounts of money extraordinary amounts of time. And this is where your future self starts becoming important. Imagine the version of you 10 years from now. That person is going to have financial problems. Financial goals, unexpected expenses, maybe a family, maybe a mortgage, maybe a business, maybe none of those things. But that future person will still be dealing with money. The question is, do you want that future version of yourself to receive nothing from today's decisions or something? Even $100 a month can become part of something much larger over time. But now we need to talk about the part that nobody likes. The market will fall. At some point, it will. Maybe you start investing. Everything feels great. Then one morning you open your phone. Your portfolio is down 10%. You refresh. Still down. You refresh again. Still down. And now you're wondering whether refreshing the screen somehow makes it worse. It doesn't. But your anxiety might. This is where the plan matters. If you're investing for the long term, short-term market declines are part of the experience. They aren't necessarily proof that your strategy failed. And if you're consistently investing, falling prices can mean your regular contribution buys more shares. Think about your favorite store. If something you already wanted suddenly becomes 20% cheaper, you probably don't call your financial advisor in tears. You say, nice. But when an investment drops 20%, suddenly it's, the economy is over. Same discount. Different emotion. That's why investing requires a little emotional distance. Your portfolio isn't a scorecard for your intelligence. A bad month doesn't mean you're bad with money. A good month doesn't mean you're a genius. The market moves. Your job is to follow your plan. And here's another important idea. Don't create your plan during a panic. Create it while you're calm. Decide beforehand, how much will I keep in cash? How much will I invest? What am I investing for? How long can I leave the money alone? What will I do if the market falls? If you answer those questions before the crisis, you don't have to invent answers during it. That's a massive advantage. Because emotional decisions usually happen when the brain is trying to protect you from immediate pain. But investing is usually about delayed rewards. And those two systems don't naturally get along. Your brain wants safety now. Your financial plan wants growth later. You need a system that respects both. So let's put everything together. The path from saving to investing isn't complicated. It's actually pretty boring. And that's a compliment. First, build your emergency fund. Give yourself a financial cushion. Second, separate safety money from growth money. Don't ask your investments to be your emergency fund. Third, start small. You don't need to wait for a huge amount of money. Fourth, keep your investments simple and diversified. You don't need to understand every strategy on the internet. And fifth, invest consistently. Then give the whole thing time. That final part is where most people struggle. Because we live in a world that promises instant results. Lose weight in 7 days. Make money while you sleep. Become rich with this one trick. But real wealth usually doesn't look like that. It looks boring. You save, you invest, you repeat, you ignore some noise, you learn, you increase your contributions when your income allows. You keep going. And years later you look back and realize something changed. The money you once thought was just sitting there was quietly building options. And that's the real reason to invest. Not to look rich, not to beat your neighbor, not to post a screenshot of your portfolio. Freedom is the goal. Options are the goal. Maybe one day you can leave a job you hate. Maybe you can handle a $5,000 emergency without panic. Maybe you can retire earlier. Maybe you can simply sleep better. That's what money can eventually buy. Not just things. Choices. And the journey starts much smaller than people think. It might start with $50. It might start with $100. It might start with opening your first investment account. Or simply learning what an index fund actually is. You don't need to have everything figured out today. You just need to stop confusing the beginning with the destination. Saving is the beginning. Investing is the next step. And compound growth is what can happen when you give that step enough time. So if you're sitting on savings right now and thinking, okay, what do I do next? Don't panic. Don't throw everything into the market. Don't chase the hottest investment you saw on social media. Build the bridge. Protect yourself first. Separate your money. Start small. Keep it simple. Stay consistent. And let time do what time does best. If this video helped you see saving and investing differently, subscribe. And I want to know where you are right now. Are you still building your savings? Are you sitting on cash and afraid to invest? Or have you already started putting money into the market? Tell me in the comments. Because there are probably thousands of people watching this who are asking the exact same question. And maybe your comment is the thing that helps someone else finally take their next step. Saving protects your future. Investing gives your future room to grow. And the sooner you learn how to use both, the sooner your money can stop just sitting there and start working alongside you.